Folk is not and should not be viewed as a news source. Any names, places, or likenesses mentioned are purely fictional, and any information discussed is purely speculative. Guest opinions are their own and do not reflect those of anyone else. Where in the Folk is not responsible for content accuracy of any stories that are told or what people do with these stories. This show is vulgar, sometimes graphic, and due to its content, it should not be viewed by anyone actually.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Where in the Folk. I hope everybody's had a great week indeed. But how you all been?
Good. And I'd like to say, Lando, we really want you to start typing about 2 minutes before time and giving us hell like Mike used to.
Yeah, we totally were just backstage gossiping.
I just think a private message totally for you to review real quick, but we won't worry about it till afterwards.
Okay.
Just to give you a heads up. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in again. It's been a really weird week for sure. So how do you guys want to get started? I've got a couple stories from I got one that I think is a feel good crime story from this month.
Okay.
Happened around. Mm-hmm. All right. So as you all know, we've had GPS for a while. Now, this puts me in mind of something I would have done before GPS was around. I may have actually done this a couple times. So when I was a younger man. So we've all had GPS on our phones for over a decade. And there's apparently two fellas in Missouri that might not have got the memo of GPS on their phone. Because these two guys walked up to some police officers asking for directions. This happened in Missouri, like I said earlier. They were on their way to Osage Beach. I'm probably mispronouncing that. And it's in the Ozarks, which is in the middle of the state. Well, these two individuals noticeably high when they came up to the two police officers asking for directions to get to where they already were. So you have these two fellas right here. And brief, and it was really brief. They had apparently had the drug dogs there with them already, and they got busted for drugs right away. This is a 2D right here. Now, do you think that it was a smart idea for them to walk up to the cops looking like this?
Probably not. I'm gonna guess.
Yeah. But the drugs they found were just 2 grams of meth, which I feel like 2 grams in this area around here, they give you more. Like, you know what I mean? Like, won't you go commit true crime or something?
Well, legally, in most places, it is actually a felony for you to have a baggie with residue in it of meth.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. It is around here, too. Let's see. There is another one with a really short. These are really short. I kept them short, so Tully can do what he has to do. But there's 2 Colorado men there in custody after an investigation in Louisiana tied them to an attempt to smuggle hundreds of thousands of dollars of methamphetamine. That's a little bit more, and tobacco into a federal prison. Now, when you're trying to think of the best way to smuggle hundreds of $1,000s of meth and tobacco into a prison, how would you do it?
Not comfortably.
Now, I cannot fault their ideal. According to Grant Parish officer, 18-year-old Jose Francisco Herrera Munez and 19-year-old Angel Gonzalez Gutierrez, both from Greenlee, Colorado, are charged with attempting to introduce contraband into the penal institution and attempting to distribute methamphetamine. Now, the sheriff's office said Munez and Gutierrez were attempting to smuggle in $112,000 worth of tobacco and $85,000 worth of methamphetamine into the Louisiana federal prison. So their plan was to use a cannon to propel these drugs and tobacco into the security fence to be scooped up by the inmates. It's the shooting range of about 350 feet. So I mean,
So they
really,
just whoosh. It's gonna be like Mardi Gras. They just see shit coming across the fence, and everybody's grabbing and
cigarettes
wow.
and little baggies falling like confetti.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Did you hear? I had heard this earlier, like late last year, or something like that. That pufferfish. People eat them, but you have to be very careful because they are highly toxic.
Mhm.
Well, evidently, that toxic stuff that they release makes dolphins high, and they actually filmed some young dolphins messing with the pufferfish to get them to release that toxin so they could get high.
Crazy.
So,
And they were playing slow ride. Slow ride.
I still wonder why it's illegal to attempt communication with dolphins. I think about that
Probably.
sometimes.
Because they talk.
They know about the underwater civilization of
That's right.
beings.
And they say they're one of the smartest mammals out there, probably even smarter than us. We just can't understand them.
And that's why it's illegal to communicate with them.
It's only taken like 6 years, but my big dog has finally started getting to where he says words now.
Yeah.
It's weird. Like he'll go,
That is
no, yeah, no. Like it's weird. It's actually very strange when you hear it.
Yeah. I actually have a beagle that says "I love you" in dog. Whoa. So,
He tries.
and then he has to go into a big howling thing, and then he gets upset because you made him howl, and it's a big thing.
Well,
We house a family in here. Like me and Mandy will start howling, then Spaz will start howling. It's fine.
okay. I brought a Friday feel good that's not so feel good.
Of course. Why break habit?
Yeah.
Last week we had like 6 actual Friday feel good, so we've got to make up the lost.
We had a lot of good Friday feel good, but
we didn't bring those up.
No, because I saw this trending and I thought it was an interesting thought or like a history.
Mm-hmm.
So in 1919, Henry Ford wanted to use profits to raise employees' wages and employ more people. Dodge actually sued, saying that a corporation's only responsibility is to increase shareholder value. And the prelude to that, so that was in 1919. In 1914, Henry Ford took the radical step of paying workers a $5 gold coin per day for a 40-hour work week, which he also implemented. He implemented 5-day work weeks down from the normal 7 for a better work environment. He called this compensation profit sharing, and his turnover problem disappeared. Guess what? You pay people what they're worth, they're not going to want to leave.
True.
So in addition, Ford workers could also buy the cars they produced, which therefore benefited the company. Those coins now cost $800 each.
Wow.
So if you make less than $800 a day, assembly workers in 1914 made more money than you.
That's nuts.
So the Dodge versus Ford Motor Company case, Henry Ford was the majority shareholder. He wanted to reinvest the company's substantial profits, over $60 million in surplus, into the business rather than distributing them as special dividends to shareholders. His plan included expanding production, lowering the price of the Model T, and increasing employee wages, which he publicly framed as a way to benefit workers and consumers. He said that his ambition was to employ still more men to spread the benefit of this industrial system to the greatest possible number. And he intended to plow profits back into the company to achieve this. The Dodge brothers, John and Horace, who owned 10% of Ford stock, sued him. They argued that Ford's decision to withhold dividends violated his duty to prioritize shareholder profits. At the time, the Dodge brothers were also building their own car company, and they relied on Ford's dividends to fund it. A fact Ford resented, as he suspected correctly that they were using his company money to compete against him. This personal rivalry added tension to the dispute. What's even crazier here is the Michigan Supreme Court ruled in favor of the Dodge brothers, stating that a business corporation is organized and carried on primarily for the profit of the stockholders. The court ordered Ford to pay a significant dividend, though it didn't fully block his expansion plans. It did block the fundamental idea of continuing to marginally pay people more and what they're worth.
Yeah. I'm so glad that they won. Like, you know,
Right?
I really appreciate that. Jesus Christ. Things like this started back then. Like, oh no.
Yeah, well, that's why I say, if people always ask me if you could point to one point in history where you could have really turned all of this around, it'd be around the time of the Titanic, like this same time.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you had people trying, but you know, again, somebody paid the judge off. What you want to bet?
Oh yeah,
I guarantee it.
But Ford, I mean, Ford had his. He had his.
Yeah, it makes me wonder though if he was this kind of person. I mean, think about today. Like, they try to demonize people. You know, I'm sure that there was also warfare in that way, or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So maybe that dirt came out because he wasn't backing off. I think they've all got skeletons.
Oh yeah, everybody. But you know, here's the thing: I'm going to go buy me a Ford, and my husband's going to have a fucking heart attack because he's, you know, an anti-Ford person. But it makes me want to own one.
I don't care anymore.
You're right.
But I will never own a Dodge. I just don't like Dodges.
I've owned both, and I would not recommend Dodge.
No.
My dad was a Ford guy. I mean, that is all I ever remember him owning until right before he passed away. And he had a little, like a little Nissan pickup. And the only reason he had that is his best friend gave it to him. You know, so.
I'm a General Motors type of fella.
Yeah. Well, that's funny because Mo's always liked GMC and Chevy. And he's actually driving a Hyundai around right now.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Our primary vehicle is a Nissan. So, that's only because I don't have heat in my truck.
It's going to be a Honda soon. They sold the Honda.
Nissan did?
Yep.
Wow. Honda Sentra. I don't like the way it sounds. Hyundai Sentra.
I was going to say, I had a Nissan Sentra that once upon a time.
I'm gonna get a Kia. I like them aluminum motors.
Yeah. Well, the reason he went with that because he's got an S10, not an S10. What's that damn thing called?
Yeah.
It's not. He used to have an S10. That's not what he has. He's got a. It's not the Ford F-150. It's the Silverado. That's what he's got. He's got a Silverado, but he drives like 75 miles to work one way once a week. So that's why he has the Kia, because, you know, the gas mileage is way better than what it is in that Silverado.
I want a 1997 S10 Extreme with 4 24-inch speakers in the bed. And I want it to make sparks when I drive down the road.
So
the Nissan Honda deal didn't work out.
Oh, did it not? Did it not? I thought it was a done deal.
Larry told us right there it didn't work out.
I thought that was going to be like Nissan's last lifeline before they filed for bankruptcy.
Oh,
y'all, I want to read this next story because I don't want y'all to get choked up and emotional.
Okay.
But I heard that an ancient, demented politician announced that he was leaving the Senate, but not soon enough.
I wrote that
I
headline.
know. It was a good one. It was a good one. At 83,
true journalism.
freezing up in the middle of sentences and falling down the stairs every other week, McConnell's announcement on the Senate floor is that he will not seek re-election next year. After serving 7 terms and earning a reputation as Congress's ruthless master tactician, the Kentucky senator's retirement will draw the curtains on a U.S. political era. McConnell called his 4 decades in the chamber the honor of a lifetime. I bet you the people of Kentucky are not saying that.
Correct.
And said, I will not seek this honor an 8th time. My current term in Senate will be my last. Okay, y'all can turn your cameras off and wipe your tears.
I mean,
All right.
being in Kentucky, and I am highly upset.
Listen, I've never met one person, regardless of political opinion, that likes him. I've never met a Republican that likes him.
It's like Ted Cruz. The people of Texas hate him. Why did y'all keep electing him then?
It's so easy just
Maybe
to
they
vote
didn't.
straight ticket. I mean, just straight ticket.
Maybe that's it. Maybe that's it.
And maybe it is, because like I said, I mean, Ted Cruz was considered the most hated person in Congress. What I
think is crazy is, like, when you think about the DPS that is the Congress, he was 47 years old in 1984 when he was elected.
Yeah.
That was before I was born, and I'm old now. I'm getting old.
He was 47 years old in 1984 when he became a senator.
That's so wild.
There's something like fundamentally wrong with this. Like, he should not be like freezing up and seizing on camera. Like, they
need to tune him up.
That was almost retirement age before.
Right.
Yes.
You know, we've talked about this. There should be a cap on age, and there should be damn term limits.
Yeah.
You know what? Get them out.
We hope so. If I start right now, by the time I'm 47, I might be able to be a Kentucky senator.
Yeah.
You could.
Yeah.
I feel like I might have a little influence on you, though. So.
No, I'll be corrupt as can be. Them pockets, son.
Well, then you'll fit right in, okay? Then you will fit right in. So, yes, he was 47 years old when he was elected in 2007. Or no, I'm sorry. No, in 84 when he was elected. He became the leader in 2007.
Yeah, and they're all millionaires.
Yes.
Multi-millionaires.
Yes.
I pulled this next article. I forget where it came from. It may have came from CNN.
Of course.
But I thought the tagline was interesting, because rather than just talking about the crash, it says that Delta Airlines offers $30,000 for each passenger on the flight that crashed in Toronto. And Cecil, if you could pull that YouTube video up while I'm talking, we'll play it.
With the article?
Yeah, it's right below the article.
Delta.
So Delta Airlines flight 4819 flipped over upon landing at Toronto Pearson International Airport, leaving 76 passengers hanging upside down in their seatbelts. That's really loud.
Sorry.
So Delta's saying that compensation for this, they're preemptively offering $30,000 to each passenger. And then there it goes.
Oh, the flames.
Yeah, they're very lucky that they're alive, honestly. Everybody lived.
I was going to say, everybody lived.
That's good.
Usually there's a big explosion and everybody don't live.
They must have been low on fuel or something. I don't know.
Yeah. So it's weird in Canada. So the way the laws work, there's an international, like, I think it says in here, it's called the Montreal Convention, that covers cases that occur on international itineraries. They can be compensated up to $200,000 as long as they can prove that an accident happened. now, now,
we're kind of hesitant on if this was actually an accident.
you laugh, but Delta's lawyers are going to try to say that was like an act of God, like that it was no error on the pilot's part, is what I'm getting at.
Okay, I want to say something. There's a lot of that going on, and this statement is not political. I'm just stating what was said. Okay, pardons for January 6th. Okay, the police officer that was attacked and had a heart attack had a case, a civil case in court, and the person's or the other side's attorney called his attorney and said, well, everybody's been pardoned, so there was no crime and you have no case.
Wow.
It's crazy how
it's to me it's kind of the same thing. Okay, we're going to offer you $30,000 because you can't prove that an accident happened.
Yeah, that it was actually I think it's going to come down to whether they can prove that it's Delta's fault that happened to the flight.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, they're probably going to sum up to mechanical error, but did you see what Larry put right here? Wonder if Starlink has anything to do with it. A lot of crashes since Starlink went up. And he did make a point. It seemed, I'm assuming he's got the evidence. I don't know. I haven't looked into this, but
we've seen crashes every week.
Every week.
Uh-huh.
So 2024 was the deadliest year for plane travel since 2018 is what Larry says. It seems accurate to me. I don't know. Starlink, I mean, if there are that many satellites in the sky that put off that much wireless transfer, it could most certainly interfere with, like what they call the dashboard, the stuff inside that navigates and stuff.
Yeah.
That's an interesting theory. I really want to look into that. Thank you, Larry. Yeah. Huh.
Wow.
That's interesting. But the fact is, it was an accident. Like, I mean, how are they going to say it was an act of God? Because it was either mechanical or negligence or something of the nature. Like,
there was snow on the ground. They're going to say that it was Mother Nature made it
I'm
slip.
sure.
It was slick. It's their responsibility to keep it clear then. I mean.
But I will say that in other cases, like we know of a plane crash that happened locally, and it happened in Lexington, Kentucky, and everybody passed away, and their families got millions of dollars from that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a shame that like you survive something like that and you get paid less. You know what I mean? Like they should definitely be compensated for having to hang upside down to it, regardless of what it was. Like they cheated death that day.
Yeah. I'm glad that everybody survived because that looked horrific. And it did go upside down. I don't know how everybody survived, honestly. Like it doesn't seem.
They had their seatbelts on.
Thank God.
Yeah. Because it was landing. It was it. So everybody would have had. If anybody didn't put their seatbelts on, that would have been bad.
Yep. Yes, it would have. So
that's wild.
I don't know.
So I'm gonna try to stay out of the political ditch, but I wanted to talk to you guys and get your thoughts on this.
And I'm going to argue with you on this one.
Oh, I don't have an argument. I don't have a dog in the fight. The Social Security data that came out this week, so it showed 21 million people still alive with active Social Security numbers over the age of 100, albeit apparently only 44,000 of the 21 million have gotten Social Security payments.
Only?
But I've got a theory. Hear me out on this. This is a fun theory in all of the darkness of what we're about to talk about. What if they've kept all these Social Security numbers active so that all of these beings that we talk about, think aliens, lizard people, and the like what if they kept active social security numbers so people could hide out in society?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
You gotta think too of the witness protection program.
Oh
and
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, that's probably a more logical answer. Or the EIA.
Right. Well, and that was my thing, because I heard the other day that there are something like 10 million more social security numbers than there are people in the country. But everybody gets a social security number when they go to work. Well, in 20,
that could be true too, Landa.
Oh.
that could be true.
But the other thing is that when my son, and he's just a year or so younger than you, I think, Tully, when he was born, they actually applied for his social security number in the hospital. I mean, so now when a child is born, they immediately get that number. Well, they don't reissue numbers. So all those millions of people that have died since they started issuing them, their number's still in the database. Now,
and if they don't get like a death certificate or
exactly, and you have to request a death certificate because they charge you for those bad boys. They charge you as so much per copy of it. Because when my dad passed away, we had to get copies of his death certificate, because he didn't have a will, and it was a pain in the butt because we had people who. Evidently, my dad was that person that he couldn't stand for a kid or a woman to not have a place to go. So we had strays in our house all my life.
Yeah.
And so evidently one of the last ones that stayed with him ordered a bunch of stuff through like Finger Hut before he died and did not pay for it. So, we get phone calls and bills and everything. They're like, oh, well, he bought all this. I'm like, no, you don't understand. My father absolutely refused to buy anything through the mail. He was that person, he did not buy things through the mail. And, she's like, well, then you'll have to send me a death certificate. And I'm like, wait a minute. First off, I had to pay for that and I'm not sending it to you. What the hell are you going to do? It's not like you can sue him for it. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, my dad's been dead for 12 years now, going on 12 years. And I got a call maybe 2 years ago over a debt for a phone bill for him. And I was like, how's the phone bill? And the phone bill was only like 4 years old. And I was like, that's weird. He's been dead a long time.
Yep.
And they asked me how to get a hold of him. I was like, I don't know the number. It's either heaven or hell. You're going to have to figure that one out for yourself. He's pretty good.
Right? I mean, like I said, and people do that. I mean, we had a girl that was getting prescriptions filled in my dad's name because, he had his name was known in a good way and nobody questioned it, even though they should have thought about the fact, wait a minute, he's dead, but they didn't, until 10 prescriptions in. And then it's like, wait a minute.
No, I do have a theory. I have a couple theories that my number one theory is this is some kind of fraud, government fraud. Like they're taking this money.
They should kill out all the social security numbers over 120. Like send all of them a notification and be like, if you don't respond with proof of life within 60, 90 days, 6 months, then we're just going to kill you.
But hear me out.
Hear
me out on this too. There are some people that when an older person passes, they don't tell anybody. And they just keep getting the social security monies.
And that is true.
And of course, it could be the witness protection. It could be in several things. But that one right there, I think, is a logical one for a few of these. Why do they not have a standard of practice to follow up on somebody that's got that's 320 years old?
Yeah.
I mean, if nothing else, that would be fun to find out.
I mean, it's the government, dude. Like anytime you go into the clerk's office or any like government entity, it's always a huge pain. And they don't have somebody sitting in a room somewhere keeping track of this stuff. You know what I mean?
And like I said, I mean, I figure too, when Y2K came around, they didn't go in there and update all that old information, because everybody's crap went to hell, because they didn't have a way to do it easily and everything. But, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry to cut you off, but these ones that are over 180 could totally be people that passed away that just wasn't reported, and people are still getting the.
Yeah. Well, there are 44,000 payments still going out of that number. So, like I said, I think if it's over a certain number, like even 120, that's being
generous.
very gracious.
Mm-hmm.
Send a notification and kill them in 6 months.
Right. Yeah. Look, it took them 12 years to find me at the DMV. I would go in to get my license renewed, and they're like, "You're not in the system. Here's my license. You gave it to me 4 years ago." And they finally just said, "Look, we're going to go ahead and issue it, and we'll figure it out later." I go back 4 years later, same thing. The third time I went back, somebody finally got it straight.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is crazy. I mean, I appreciate y'all giving me a pass for all that time, but, the bill collectors can still find me. So how the hell can you not? But, it's the same. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, my daughter's biological father, during the 2 minutes he decided to pay child support, would go into DHS and make the payment so he could say, "I made the payment," and they were going to sue Mo because he had lost his job, and I got the kids on Medicaid for 3 months. They were suing him as an absent parent. I'm like, he wasn't absent. He just lost his job for a little while. Get all that straight. I'm like, so, my ex is 12 years behind. Why aren't y'all doing anything about him? "Oh, well, we don't know how to find him." I'm like, he walks in there every month and hands you cash. Right. How do you not find him?
Right.
So, it's insane. Anything that's government related like that, it's too much.
I mean, the DMV is kind of fucked anyway, because I'm technically a woman in the DMV's office. My driver's license, it says female. It does. And I have to get corrected. And every time they send me a new one in the mail, it still says it. So I was like, fuck it.
You better get it fixed now with everything going on. They're gonna send your ass down to Guantanamo.
Yeah, you're going to the concentration camp, Cecil.
I mean, I've tried to fix it and they didn't fix it. So next time, hopefully there won't be a next time. But if I do wind up back in jail, I mean, they're going to have to figure that out. The old-fashioned, I guess. I don't know.
Wow, that's insane.
The other thing that we had in our sort of preview for the week was that Microsoft announced a quantum computing breakthrough. How often are we getting quantum computing breakthroughs? Weekly? Bi-weekly?
Every 3 days.
What's really crazy about that? If I'm not badly mistaken, the person that came up with modern quantum computing is from Corbin, Kentucky.
Really?
I think so.
So they called it Majorana's One Chip. So they believe that they've made a breakthrough in quantum computing, unlocking the potential for quantum computers to solve industrial scale problems. Microsoft has spent 17 years working on a research project to create a new material. Keep that tidbit of information, to create a new material and architecture for quantum computing. And it's unveiling the first processor based on this new architecture and new material. At the core of the quantum computer are qubits, a unit of information in quantum computing, much like binary bits that computers use today. Companies like IBM, Microsoft, and Google have all been trying to make qubits as reliable as binary bits for years. But Majorana 1 can potentially fit 1 million qubits into a single chip that's not much bigger than the CPUs inside of a desktop PC and servers. Microsoft isn't using electrons for the compute in this new chip. It's using the Majorana particle that theoretical physicist Ettore Majorana discovered in 1937. Microsoft has reached this milestone by creating what it calls the world's first topoconductor, a new type of material that can not only observe but also control Majorana particles to create reliable qubits. Microsoft has outlined its research in a peer-reviewed paper published this week in Nature, explaining how its researchers were able to create the topological qubit. Microsoft has helped create a new material made from indium, arsenide, and aluminum, and it has placed 8 topological qubits on a chip that it hopes to eventually scale to 1 million. I'm going to skip down for a minute.
Before you do that, this is totally off topic. I just got pissed off. Corbin, Kentucky's trying to take Richie Farmer from Clay County. Richie's from Clay County. Thank you very much. He ain't from Corbin.
So spokesperson says, we took a step back and said, okay, let's invent the transistor for the quantum age. What properties does it need to have? And that was from Shaitan Nayak, who is a Microsoft technical fellow. And that's really how we got here. It's the particular combination, the quality, and the important details in our new material stack that have enabled a new type of qubit and ultimately our entire architecture. The Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, also known as DARPA, has now selected Microsoft as one of 2 companies that will advance to the final phase of its unexplored systems for unity scale quantum computing, also known as US2QC. Microsoft will now build a fault-tolerant prototype for DARPA.
Neat.
That's exactly who we want with a quantum computing chip.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have going to turn the skies purple.
It says
Cool.
it is the gateway to solving some of the world's most difficult problems. Name 3.
Oh yeah. Name 3 and tell me a problem that you've solved.
Yeah.
Like
right.
any problem that you've solved in the past, please just let us know.
I mean,
Yep.
They've made the weather.
Or
That's why we have frozen floods right now, because they've made the weather so great.
or pay us $12 million and we will say whatever you want us to say.
Oh, yeah.
Anything you want to say?
WITF@gmx.com. Send us your contract and we'll get on here and praise DARPA every week if that's what you want us to do. 12 million a year is all it takes.
And
So
we'll
if
make
you guys
up
even-
the stuff that you're doing.
Yeah.
And it'll
So if
be
you guys ever come on here and hear us doing that, you know what's happened. There will be signs too.
That's it. There will be signs.
Yep, there will be signs.
Yeah, I'll be wearing a diamond necklace.
I'll have 2 giant lava lamps in the background.
I will be coming live from the Caribbean.
I'll have a frame for this map.
Oh Lord.
I don't know if we Morgana, I totally forgot to grab those articles that you sent. Do you have anything like a shorty?
No.
Yeah,
I
Lando,
don't have them in front of me.
You're the first person that's getting some.
Mhm. That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
We
But,
got to have
no,
somebody in the comments talking about how great DARPA is.
That's right. And backing us up, because it sounds so much more legit when you've got audience members jumping in. And
I need to start going to this McDonald's on this side of town more often, so I have something to talk about every Friday.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, this ain't really short, but there is a woman who is suing a fertility clinic because she gave birth to another person's baby.
What? Well, what ain't that the point of a fertility? What?
sometimes.
But so she became pregnant after undergoing in vitro fertilization. She said she's unaware that she gave birth, unaware until she gave birth that the fertility clinic had made a fateful mistake. She delivered a healthy baby boy, but she also knew immediately that it did not develop from one of her own lab fertilized eggs.
Oh.
It says that the baby was black while Murray and her sperm donor were both Caucasian. She later learned that the doctors had transferred another patient's embryo instead of her own.
Wow.
And this led down a crazy path of like custody. And as soon as the courts told her she had no chance of winning, because she both birthed and took care of this baby for 5 months. And as soon as the courts got involved, they're like, you have no chance. And she voluntarily gave up the baby.
Yeah. That's sad.
That's horrible.
Sad.
Yeah, that's horrible that they would do that. And I don't know, like, I'm fully on board with this because people, that want kids should be able to have kids.
Yeah.
And with all the things that's in our food and everything else in the world that's happening, having a child is getting harder and harder to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
even in vitro has major risks. Like you can have internal bleeding, infections. In vitro itself can cause you to go sterile.
Yep.
And possibly death is one of the risks. So you take a huge risk when you start doing that stuff.
This person should be paid out a lot of money.
Yeah, but no amount of money.
I agree with that.
No amount of money is going to fill the hole of having a 5-month-old child ripped from you.
No, that she should be paid millions of dollars and get to go through it again if she wants to for free.
I guess you could argue both sides of that ethically, like of who the baby should have went to. But my opinion is if you carried it and birthed it and there was no expectation that you were a surrogate and you thought it was your own and it was the doctor's screw up, you know what? Give the other person the white baby.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say.
If you carry it, I mean, that's your child essentially, unless you've got a contract that hey, this is going to another person.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's such a one that I don't want to stand on either side of.
I agree.
And that's what she said too. That she considered all the consequences of IVF going in, and not one time did she ever consider that she might give birth to someone else's child and have them taken away.
Yeah, it's awful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah.
But
they need to compensate her for sure.
I wish we could have found a feel good to end on, but that's not a feel good.
Yeah.
Hardee's has some really good fish sandwiches.
Really?
If you don't have a Hardee's,
Lent is coming up.
Oh, no, not Hardee's. Arby's. I get mixed up.
Arby's. The meat mountain.
You know that I always heard, and if you have ever worked at Arby's, please send us an email at witf@gmx.com. That the roast beef comes in, it's like a gelatin until they heat it up.
Well, I've even seen a video where they actually stir it and then pour it into a mold and they put it in the freezer and then it turns into the log that you're talking about. It's
delicious. It's so good.
See, I like their turkey bacon ranch is fantastic. Just FYI.
But in 14 minutes, we're going to be talking about the Denver airport on Weird Awakenings, and you should come too, Cecil.
I don't know. I've been coming to too many of them recently.
You love us.
This can be the grand finale.
Let me go in here and talk to the wife and see what she wants to do. I thought we might go to Walmart and walk around for a little bit, but we might cancel those plans. I don't know.
Walmart's open. Walmart will still be open.
It's only open till 11. We like to walk around, get our laps in, and look at all the new trinkets they got and stuff.
For more than 3 hours?
Yeah, you gotta take your time at Walmart.
Well, y'all go to Wingstop first and then go walk it off.
I ain't going to Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and not.
It's actually weird. It's Weird with a Y, Larry. And it is on the Weird with a Y Realities Network, which is separate. Well, I mean, we're affiliated with the Weird Realities Network, but They have a ton of different shows.
Somebody put it in the chat because I can't spell realities right now for some reason.
Okay. Let me get my.
But you know, we got a lot of great guests coming up here soon. We're working on a few, a couple big ones actually. We put in to get a slot today, but unfortunately, if that goes through, it's going to be like a Thursday. We'll drop that when it comes around.
Yep.
Let's see.
And as always, if you have any guest recommendations, drop them in the comments. Easy gave us a few that we're reaching out to, and then we've got a few that we wanted to reach out to.
Yep. And if you want to be a guest, if you got a topic you want to talk about, go ahead and email us at the same WITF@gmx.com. Or if you got a topic you want us to cover, email us there. People don't send us emails, so I didn't check today, but I typically check every week. So I might get on there and there might be one. If there is, I apologize. We'll cover it next week. So does anybody else have anything else they want to push or anything?
Nope.
The only thing I'm going to push is myself off this bridge. So thank you all for tuning in, and thank you for watching us because we are watching you.